Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome to the video. We're here with the latest Berserk release. Now this figure, seriously, when I was at Tamashii Nations last year in November with 86 reviews, as soon as we turned the corner and saw these figures, they just stuck out. They were the shining figure of the event. One most been most looking forward to, obviously Guts and Casca, who is I believe next month. Now this is from the start of the series. This is, I think they call Golden Age in terms of Berserk. If you haven't seen the series, jump in it seriously. I started picking up these figures from a mate. I'd heard stuff from him, but I never got into it myself until I started going into these figures and just absolutely love them, and that made me read all the manga. Really good, so I highly recommend it if you haven't already. Now just like all the other releases, box design very similar. Really showcasing the art style for Berserk along with the figure itself. A really highly detailed box, and it has that kind of like really tall skinny look, a little bit different than a lot of the other figures, which is a bit more, I don't know, square-ish in shape. Now before I do check him out and show what he does come with, actually this video is sponsored, first sponsored video I've ever done, so a big shout out to Bai. I've turned down so many companies, but this is the first company that reached out. That is actually a service that I would personally use. Now if you haven't heard about them before, there is a link in the description below, as well as a coupon for first time users. Now simply put, if you are outside of Japan and you want to buy goods from Japan, they act as the middle person. Now buying brand new stuff, pretty easy for the most part, but second-hand stuff, that is where they really shine in my opinion. Because you can buy from Mercari, Rakuten, Raku, I think it is, the second-hand Rakuten store, auctions, but you get access to so many items which you don't normally have the chance to get if you are outside of Japan. Now what that means is, like this release, brand new, easier to get. But maybe you want the previous releases for the Berserk line. Jump on there, search S.H.Figuarts Berserk, and you'll see the listings, the second-hand listings from Mercari. And in Japan, the quality is so good. Buying second-hand, really cool. I bought a lot of my figures second-hand when I first started collecting. So I highly recommend checking them out. But anyway, again, thanks very much to Bai for sponsoring the video. But anyway, jumping back into the figure, let me pop him out of the box so we can see what it comes with. Okay, so actually in the box we also get the artwork, just like all the other releases. So good, check out Guts and Griff there, Casca, the whole other team from the start of the series, really nice. And I wonder, how many of those other characters will we may eventually get? Yeah, anyway, let me move it off to the side and we can see what we do get in this release. Now Guts is in the center, we get his dagger, we get his helmet, we get his big ass sword. So you know, as big as his Berserker one or later in the series, which should make it a little bit easier to handle actually, but still really big and really cool. We also get another hilt, maybe that's for the dagger, we'll find out a little bit later. And then we get several pairs of hands down below for gripping, holding onto the sword and so forth, as well as the closed fist. And then we get 4 additional faceplates. I believe these two will be used for the helmet, so neutral look, teeth gritting, and then with the hair we have full on mouth open screaming, and then a bit more of a cocky smirk opposed to the neutral face that's already on him. And then behind we have his red cloak. So like all the other Berserk figures, I'd say a decent range of accessories, especially all the ones that would require to complement this version of Guts. But yeah, let's get them out of the packaging on the turntable so we can check out the overall finish and detailing on this release. Okay, so we have him on the turntable, we have a cloak on, his sword goes through, so his sheath for the sword is attached to the body. It is flexy rubbery material, so easy to use for sword, just slot straight down. The cloth material, you might even be able to see on camera here, but you can actually see through it, so extremely thin, looks nice, has great texture, has a wire around so you can bend and pose it, and it goes on actually really well. Now you pop the head off and it'll slide over, and then the head comes down to keep it in place. A little bit fiddly at first, but I think the more you kind of play with it, the more it will kind of settle into its actual position. But I really want to highlight that armor though. Oh my god, that is so beautiful. The colouring, the detailing, the little dents here, and the marks there where it picks up the light, the shadow. I really do love all of the Berserk figures. Now the first one had some flaws, but I think each and every single release after that, they've improved. And I feel like this figure as well, I feel like it's more in line with your normal S.H.Figuarts release, but with all the extra sculpting, detailing, aesthetic look which the Berserk line has been carrying on since the beginning. So really excited to see more figures from this line and see how far they can take it, because to me this line puts the arts in S.H.Figuarts. But yeah, all the colouring, the detailing, the sculpting over, I know, crotch guard would it be? The armour as well, if you haven't seen it already, Weeble Collectibles does a really cool interview with the designer for the Berserk line. He discusses how the articulation and how they play around and how they actually use cloth on those armour bits, so it will give it flexibility and it doesn't take up much space. So all these little extra details on the figure are really coming together to make an outstanding release in my eyes. Now the sculpting of the paints is nice, the joints look good, same with the boots, all the detailing down there. The plastic a little bit more budget looking compared to the rest of them for the brown, I would say. But it isn't too much of an issue. The spurs look nice, the colour separation from the tan to the brown to the silver is good. Then same with on his bandages and the skin. And then we have a weathering on the arms as well. So yeah, so far, aesthetically speaking, spot on I reckon. The cloth cape is working nice, easy to pose, he can stand up well even with that big sword. Actually in that interview with Weeble Collectibles, the designer saying, you know, even though he's got a big sword, since it is really thin, it is a lot more manageable in this release. And definitely I can say, with some hands-on play, that is the case. Oh, one thing to highlight is with the dagger, we had the extra hilt before. That one is to attach to the sheath, and then we get the extra dagger. So if you want to hold the dagger, you can pop that hilt off. So that works out really well, pretty easy to pop on as well. Now before we jump into the articulation, I did want to show his cape or cloak, and he's got the emblem there which is really detailed, the gold is nice, and hopefully you can see a bit more of a texture on here. But as I mentioned before, we do have a wire that runs down and around it, so you can bend, pose and flex it and get it in any which direction or pose you want, have it flapping in the wind, maybe scrunched up, throwing away. So definitely versatile. The material it's thick but also thin. I feel like they've definitely found the right, actually all the cloth goods for Berserk line so far I think have been really nice and it works well. The ones on like the Naruto line I think it was too thick, but I feel like yeah, they've picked maybe the Goldilocks sizing here actually, which is nice. Also there is one extra wire that runs down here, that's so you can kind of bend and pose it around his sword. So on the inside you will see a seam, but from the outside you can kind of see the wire, but not too much of an issue, especially if you are bending and flexing it around. But anyway, let's pop over to Guts and check out the articulation. So yeah, to keep it easy, I'll keep the cloak off and I'll remove the sword, which is pretty cool. Let me swing it around, so you can see it's kind of strapped on. Got the two straps and then the part that sits in the bottom and just slots in and out, which is awesome, so cool. But anyway, let me put the sword to the side and we can jump into the articulation for the Guts figure. Now starting with the head, use the range of motion there, going down, it's okay, we'll hit the armour, and then going back is actually really good. There we go, so you can look up without any issue. Now the armour, the shoulder guards are kind of floating there on the joint. You can lift his arm up okay, so up and around, go out, you can see the joint there, which is nice. We do get a bit of a butterfly joint. The inner joint doesn't pop out as much as I expected. It kind of does, you kind of have to play around a little bit, but if you do that, you can cross the arms over without any issue. Get the usual bicep swivel there. The elbow joint, double jointed, great range of motion, especially considering the armour. And then the wrist peg is nice as well, so you get motion there, swivel, pivot, really good range of motion on that peg, and it feels really solid. They have used the little wee ball type one, which is nice, so it's not just a straight rod, so it will pop into the joint, which is a lot better for holding onto those weapons. So the belt here is floating with a dagger. These side parts are held on by cloth underneath and it just floats there, which is great. Let me grab here. The swivel is great. Going back, actually a decent range of motion, considering this is a solid piece of armor. Now bending forward a little bit more trickier due to the belt and all the parts here, but he can bend forward decently well considering the design. You kind of move those parts out of the way a little bit. If you bend over the belt, he can go forward a lot more, which is great. And then coming into the legs, he can do the splits extremely well. Coming forward due to his crotch, I don't even know what you call that. It's weird how it's all like laced. How would you even go to the bathroom to do that? Anyway, for design wise, his leg will spread out a little bit if kicking forward, but it's still not too bad. Going back, decent as well, which is nice to see. We get a little bit of swivel on the upper part, not so much, but we do get it underneath these lines here, the straps, which is nice to see. Now for the knee joint, double jointed, great range of motion there, and then we also get a swivel on that boot part underneath the top of the boot, and then the ankle joints, a nice motion pivot there, and toe tip. So overall, actually really good articulation for this figure. Really nice to see. And this part is flexy, kind of bends out of the way. It is attached at the top though, so just keep that in mind. Okay, check out these faceplates, the colour, the detail, the sculpting, everything is looking amazing. The 3 faces for the hair are looking great, and then we get the 2 for the helmet, plus the helmet visor will lift up and down, giving you an extra level of customization for this figure, which is great to see. Okay, check him out. Simple pose here, holding onto that sword, ready to draw it to kick some ass. Really nice. Yeah, and surprisingly, despite his sheath being fully attached, it is still pretty movable and flexible on the back there, which is nice. And then again, really easy to stand and balance with that sword. I think the fact that it's really skinny definitely helps there. So even though it's quite big and long, it's not too weighty, so definitely makes it really nice to handle and pose this figure. Okay, so switched over the helmet. He's got his sword drawn, holding it really well. Again, really solid joints there, and then the sword just, yeah, perfectly held in place. His helmet, as we saw before, with the faces, we can have it up or down, which is great. So you can kind of have him there lifting it up for a pose or down, which is really cool. Switching off the hands was nice and easy, and yeah, this is the finger spread one. It's funny, the hands look pretty chunky just because obviously it is in a glove, but proportion wise it is looking overall really cool, even if it does look a little bit weird when holding onto the helmet there. But yeah, definitely loving the fact that we can lift this up and down, so definitely really fun to, actually it's a really fun figure to play with in general. So yeah, let's switch up into another pose before we jump into some final thoughts. Okay, just how badass is this? Seriously, man. In fact, you can lift his arms up and around, hold onto the sword without issue. We've got the helmet open or closed visor is great. We can see the detail on the face there. The legs, the articulation there makes it really easy to do dynamic poses, even for someone like me who's really bad at them. So if you play with this figure, I'm pretty sure you can get some absolutely amazing poses. And I can't wait to see everyone's photos. I know Mr. Lee had early access to this figure. He already checked up a video, I think some pictures as well. Check those out because it's definitely a great showcase for this figure. Now before we jump into pros and cons, I do have Zod here, who is the previous one to come out. Absolutely amazing figure as well, and these two together, seriously, just check it out. I love the detail in the Berserk line. I just can't say that enough, because the weathering, the colour, the detail, like I said at the start, this line to me puts the arts in S.H.Figuarts. They are a work of art that can move, they can articulate, they capture the manga, the essence of the series extremely well, and the combination of the the fur on Zod, the cloth cape on Guts, it works extremely well compared to a lot of other figures which I feel look a little bit clunky and not that nice. But anyway, coming into the size comparison, I think yeah, these two size up really well. Very similar to the other Guts figures. If you want to see those ones as well, check out the review for Zod. I show Zod compared to the other Guts figures. But yeah, damn, just check these guys out, really cool. But anyway, let's switch over and we can jump into the pros and cons. So jumping into the pros and cons, I thought I might as well leave Zolt here, and I got the Berserk armor guts out as well, so you can see a little bit of a comparison for those that may be new to the line. Now straight away, the pros for this guts figure is just, I don't know, it's just a beautiful figure. I can't say that enough. The detailing armor, the red, actually that red I absolutely love, kind of crimson color. His sword is nice, he holds onto it well. The expressions, the mouth open screen one, just absolutely spot on. Really digging those. And obviously, as we saw with the helmet, how we can lift up the visor, the back part moves as well. So I don't just, the articulation in the helmet is another huge pro. I don't have a con. To me, it just nails it. It is what it is. It's just a great all-round figure, and like, if you're a Berserk fan, you just can't go wrong. Like seriously, this line, it's weird. I started off as a non-Berserk fan. I just picked up, as I said, from a mate, and it's probably my favorite Tamashii Nations S.H.Figuarts line. Like, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, huge, you know, Naruto, all these other series, but there's something about these figures. It's just, I don't know, the whole aesthetic look to them. They are a bit more expensive, especially now for the price increase, but this is one line where I feel like the quality you get lines up with the pricing. But that's just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Also, again, just a shout out to Bai for sponsoring this video. It's nice. Hopefully we can do more like this, try and work out some other stuff. If you haven't used them before, there is a link in the description to a code as well, so you get a coupon for a discount. As I said, fantastic place to go and search for second-hand figures, especially. It gives you access to Rockchala Japan as well as some other sites, so check it out. If you don't live in Japan, it will definitely make your life as a collector easier for getting some sweet ass figures from Japan. But yeah, that is it for the video. So again, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, cheers.